All right, welcome everyone to this Friday's live force session. Today's an exciting day. I'm really looking forward to drawing with you guys and Diego, Swami, and Mritunjay doing as well. Hello, Diego.
Hey Mike, how are you?
Ed, how are you?
Hi to the other guys too.
And how,
That's
there's something going on back there. How are you doing,
yeah.
Mritunjay?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Good,
How are you guys doing?
good. And last but not least, Swenley, how's everything going?
Good, ready to draw.
All right. So each one of us is going to draw for you. I think we're going to try to really do this as a follow along or as a step by step. I'm going to do my best to try to slow down and take you through each step of my process, and so are the other instructors. So let's just get to it. I'm going to go first and head this up. Give me a second here. We have a lot of camera switching and stuff to do. So let's get over here and let's shut off. Shut this guy off. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. And stop share. I'm going to pin spotlight this for me. Okay. So can you guys all see my camera?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Before we do
Yes.
that, hold on. What I want to do is, my apologies. I want to show you guys the photograph and everything in Photoshop and what I'm going to be working off of. Okay, so let's do that first. All right, there we go. So here's the photo I'm going to draw. Let me show you that first. I'm going to do this one first. Okay. So let's talk about it really quick here. I'm going to shove this up in the corner. So for me, before I start drawing, and Diego's going to be talking about this as well, you want to have a sense of like what's going on. Like a common, I think a common mistake is to just like start drawing, right? But you want to have some sense of like what's going on. And in that the time duration of doing that, decreases obviously the better you get at figure drawing, right? Especially drawing with force. Here, I'm going to just shut off my camera for now. Okay, so let's get this layer up here. So when I look at this model, this is Andy. What I want is I want to understand that big picture idea. So gravity is always coming into play. I'm thinking about, and here you can really see it pretty clearly, right? Because this is a great bridge image, right? He is suspended over the ground with 3 moments of contact, right? So my main ideas are going to be about him hanging like this, right? And then what's the system that's hanging his body there, right? So you can see all this push in the shoulder. It's going down the back of the arm, down like this and into the hand. It's a 3-point suspension. So I'm aware of where the other hand is going to be, right? Like so, and how the back's going to connect to these ideas, right? And then from here, I have there's a nice rhythm into the leg that's going to come down to the foot over here. I'm drawing this very crudely, as you can see, by the way, but this is what my mind thinks about, right? I think about all these ideas. So there's actually like my sort of engineer's diagram, right? And I really want to be aware of this. You see this triangulation? I'm going to be very aware of that. It brings in the perspective. It tells how all of his body is hanging over this space, right? So I already understand it to some degree before I go in and start drawing. And that understanding is very functional. It's not about just purely looking at it, right? I've got some real understanding of how things work, right? So with that in mind, let's move over to the paper now. So try to remember this image, right? If you're drawing along with me, I would suggest take a snapshot of this. I'm going to take it out of the video, okay, because we're going to go to my camera. So take a snapshot of that, and then I'm going to show you how to follow along with me, okay? All right, so let's stop share here. Now, let's highlight my camera. Sorry, there's a lot of technical juggling today. Okay, So here I am, right, on the piece of paper. The first thing I suggest before we go and draw that figure is skate the page, right? And you can do this with your eyes closed, your eyes open. The blind forest drawing, we talked about doing your eyes closed. But even with eyes open, just the idea of just kind of owning the paper and relaxing, right? It's easy to get stressed out. It's like, oh my God, I got to draw, right? So I just want to flow around. I like going all over the page too. I feel like, okay, I own this piece of paper. I can move all over the place on this page, right? There's nothing to be afraid of here, okay? So here I am and I'm skating, right? Everyone can see that pretty clearly, yeah. All right, so here we go. So I have that, okay? Just to get the edge off, right? I like to stay here for another 20 minutes. Let's do this, all right? Feel myself pushing into moments, right? Like really get myself revved up to how I start drawing. Okay, so there it is. Now let's try to draw the figure. So you're gonna see my pointy nose poking in and out of here as I look back at the screen to see the photograph, right? So the first thing I would go after here, and now I'm gonna skate it, right? And follow along with me, is I'm gonna feel the flow of his back, right? And while I'm drawing that flow, I'm actually not only drawing the directional force, I'm thinking about how force is pushing down, right? Gravity is really his weight is sitting here. Right? And you can sketch this in with me as well, right? Like just be aware, this is where the weight of his rib cage is. And this whole section is being pulled down, right? So I'm thinking about that as I draw the back, right? So here's my line of the actual contour of the back. Notice I'm coming in lightly, I'm pushing down and coming up. Why? Because of all this weight being pulled down, right? So this stands for gravity over here, right? Pulling down like that. All right, I can't see the chat, so other force guys, please, tell me if any questions come up.
Yes,
so now
sure.
I'm coming up here. Thank you. So I'm coming up here, all right, and normally I would say I would go for legs after torso, but in this case, the arms are just as important as the legs because Andy is suspending himself off the ground with his arms as well, right? So I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna come up over the shoulder. Now, the angle of the shoulder's apex, right? When you do a line like this, right, and it has a curve in it, that line on the shoulder is determined by what the axis of the bone of the arm is, right? So the femur would be sitting this way. If I went like that, right, then that means the femur is over here, right? It's on that angle. So I can see, the angle of his arm is like this. Don't draw this. This is what I see though, right? I see that. So when I see that, I come up over the back and I'm gonna push into the apex of that shoulder, right? So I wanna feel the flow now come off of the weight that was hanging here. I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna push into that shoulder, and the apex of that shoulder is gonna match up with the angle, right, of the arm like that. That's actually pretty important. It really gives me a sense of the tension coming up the back and how there's a forward thrust in the shoulder, okay? So I'm gonna come up like that because it matches that angle. So I push up in there. Now I'm gonna keep doing it, by the way. And always, one thing I talk about in mentorship a lot is like, here, this was a big moment, right? If I want that big moment of force hanging there, I'm not gonna do this and draw the lower back like this and just try to darken in that moment. I always start ahead of the moment, right? Because I want the car to drive into the curve. And in order to drive into it, I have to start prior to the curve to feel the speed pushing in. So now that I've done that down here and I want to deal with the shoulder, I'm not going to go in here and just darken the front tip of the shoulder and try to feel force. I have to drive into it, right? I need the inertia, the speed of it to happen. So I'm going to start like down here somewhere and go up and in and up and in. So you'll see what looks like me drawing an ellipse is me actually saying I'm going to come up in, push, and then I'm not touching the page and I'm making my way down here again, right? And I'm like pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. And I want that darkness to feel like the amount of exertion that Andy's body is putting into that shoulder, right? So now that flips over. We go from the front of the shoulder. I want to make my way to the back of the arm, okay? Because the arm is like a brace, right? I already know because I already analyzed this with my mind. I said, this is going to go here. This has to go here. There's going to be tension on the back, right? I already have that in my head. So now I'm following the path. I pushed up in the shoulder. Now I want to get to the back of the arm. So I'm going to flow. I'm trying to feel the rhythm coming off of that curve. And I want to flow to the back of the arm like that. You see, so there's my rhythm. Okay. So hopefully I'm going slow enough. Again, feel free to text in the live chat if I'm going too fast. Now, when I do that, people ask me about measuring all the time. Sure, I'm aware of like where the back is here, right? That moment right there. And I'm gonna look as to how far out do I have to go to get to the elbow, right? Like it's like out here somewhere, right? There's lots of ways of doing this. I could just look at the angle and get a sense of how far out I have to go. You can try to be aware of the negative space in here. That works better when you're working with shape, because right now I'm not gonna draw the inside edge of the forearm. I'm gonna draw the outside edge. So it's a little trickier to see like the outside edge versus the inside edge of the back here, you know, and make that measurement without seeing the full shape in there. So I'm just kind of eyeballing out over here. I'm trying to make sure the angle's right. So angle and distance, those two things combined give me a measurement, right? Am I gonna draw to measure? No, I'm gonna like draw out here and try to flow to get to that place, right? Because I wanna feel the force of it. And then, this is very important. Angles are very important in general. I want to feel this come down on an angle. His arm is not going this way. It's not going this way, right? It's not going on an angle that way, that way. It's going back underneath him. That causes a lot of tension on that elbow. If you think about all this weight pulling down and this brace sitting here like this, right? By going underneath, the further underneath I go, the more there is a chance of his body like collapsing over that arm, right? It's like architecture, right? It's like this most stable here would be to probably just go straight out to here, right? Like that, with that angle versus this weight, you see, and hold it up like that. But he didn't do that. He could have went 90 degrees. That's kind of stable, but the more I go this way, the more this has the chance of feeling weaker and weaker and pushing over and having the weight overtake the angle, the tension of this angle. All right. So I'm very sensitive. I'm really aware to how his forearm comes down. Okay. So it comes down like this. As I come down, I can kind of think about, you know, how far was his back to the ground? Where do I got to get the hand to land, right? Like I can measure with my eye all this stuff. So I want this hand to land about right here. Okay. So now I feel like I have it all planned out. I'm going to redrive it, because now I feel like confidently I see where all of it is. So I'm like, yeah, I want to get there. I'm not going to get into the details of the hand right now. I just want it as a platform, as a base. And you'll see me go over all this now. So I would recommend you do the same, right? Like go over it, right? Feel the whole drive, right? Look what we did, folks, right? We went from here, we came up, we drove into that shoulder, we felt its direction, right? We swept around, we got to the back of the arm, down to the elbow, and we swept down, we got to the hand. So we made it all the way from here to here, right? It's pretty exciting, right? Now, that would get me to the opposite shoulder over here. I'm going to get over there. I'm going to look at where that ends. It ends about halfway through this arm, and I'm going to draw the elbow out over there. Then I'm going to come down, and the hand is about here on this forearm. So I'm trusting my eyes, right? I'm like, wow, that's like right there. Crazy, right? I'm just trusting what my eyes see, but I'm drawing with what my brain understands, right? I'm running out of time, so I'm going to move a little faster here. This torso finally becomes its full C. I have this curve. I've got his pelvis here. I have the rib cage here, right? Here's that full C, right? It's okay. You could have done this earlier. I just knew I wanted to get this up. I want you guys to understand how this whole section works. I usually toned it in so you could see the shape of it, right? And then I would get myself through the legs. So, you know, here's his pelvis. I'm going to take myself up front of thigh, and then I'm going to go front of calf. I'm going up the page there, front of calf. So this is like a giant spring to me, because the leg wants to be straight and its tension is like this. So it's pushing out on both sides. So it's front of thigh, front of calf, and then that gets underneath the pelvis. There's no accident that he's getting his foot underneath his pelvis, right? Because out here is all this weight, right? What's holding this up? Nothing, right? I need the foot. Over here, the foot's, you know, the arms are holding up the majority of the weight for this whole zone, right? So here I have the foot. I'm going to come in here to the heel. The foot always goes over the top of the foot, from the heel, top of the foot into the ball of the foot, okay? And now I have my triangle, by the way, that I was talking about before, right? There's my setup. Last but not least, I'm gonna take this leg from the back, from the bottom, but very quickly, I wanna get to the thigh. Here, I can look at the negative shape, by the way. So I could really use that because the thigh is running right along the edge of the rib cage there. It's narrower at the bottom and wider at the top. So I'm edging it to the left here. It's about right there, right? And I want to open that negative shape up. And I'm going to bring that. And now I look at the shoulder to where the knee is, right? So I'm going to come up. I'm going to hit where the knee is. I think I'm going to stay on the front of the shin like this, right? And then that's going to get me to the heel, right? And then the foot. Last but not least, because like I said, I'm out of time. I also want to get the neck and the head in here. So the back is going to go like this. All right. So I'm sweeping up that way. And that is going to take me into the neck. I use the sternocleidomastoid muscle. It's the one that goes from behind your ear to your collarbone. And also the face. The face to me is like a force, you see? So that goes like that. And this goes up that way. Let's see if I could bring this into the shot better. There. So that goes like that into that. Right, and then I'll usually just block out like the general shape of the head, right? So there you go, right? So, and then once I have this, especially when you're learning force, I think it's really good to just redraw this. Like we've created the racetrack, right? Let's feel it out, right? Like here I started going into the shoulder, right? I want to feel the force going down the back of the arm, down to the hand, come to the other shoulder. That same idea, right? Shoulder, tricep side, elbow side, right down to the hand. I'm going to come up here, get that C. This very nicely goes from here into this leg, right? And that gets me into the foot. So that's really nice, right? Imagine driving this, right? It's like, right? Like perfectly awesome course, right? Racetrack. And then finally here we go like this. Right, and we go like this up that way, so I can drive from here to here as well, and then come down and then smash myself into the ground there. You see? So hopefully this helped. Hopefully you were able to keep along, you know, with the follow through this step by step. You'll have noticed I'm always drawing with the force line, right? Always drawing with direction of motion, right? Trying to feel and understand the physicality of the body. Of course, there's some measuring involved, but I don't want to sit there and do this, right? And go like, oh, this is here, right? I'm not trying to just measure it. I want to do that in the background. My goal is to really understand how this body worked, right? Okay, so I'm going to take us back to Photoshop. I want you to see again the photograph. So here's my drawing, right? So you see the drawing. And let's take this to Photoshop. You can see the photograph one more time, and then I'm going to hand this over to Diego, right? So there's our photo. You can see what we talked about, right? You can see the hanging that we just drew, right? Here's the hanging. You can see the push up in the shoulder, the angle, the arms that we tried to get, right? The sweeping up in the leg, the crunching, the coming down to that foot, the triangle base, and then that other leg coming up in the face going forward, right? All right, so thank you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope that helped. I hope you're able to keep up, you know, and go through the process. Remember, skating is a great way of sort of shaking yourself loose of any kind of concerns and then trying to bring that experience over to your drawing, okay? All right, Diego, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Okay, here I am. I don't know if you guys can see me. What I'm going to do today is I'm gonna try to draw on the page what I'm thinking. Okay, so what Mike just explained, I'm gonna go a step backward and show you exactly what I'm thinking, like angles and all that stuff that allows us to draw with a force line and a forceful drawing, okay? So let me change the camera right now. Here we are. I hope you can see the reference here. And this is what I'm going to draw. Let's make it a little bigger. There. So what I first like to do is to find the angle of the shoulders, okay? Because angles plus position create balance. If you find the correct angles and the correct position of each part of the body, you will have perfect balance and perfect proportions. Because if everything is the angle that it is and is positioned in the place that it is placed, then you will have perfect proportion and perfect balance. So let's start with that. Remember, what I'm going to draw right now is not what I draw, is what I think, okay? So for example, let's get this angle. I'm thinking about this angle of the shoulders right here, okay? Then I see this curve going this way, okay? I'm still using the force line here, but it doesn't matter what I'm drawing here because this is on my mind. This is what I see before I put any line to the paper. Okay, now I'm showing it to you to see that it's not magic what we do. We have all these inside our head. Okay, so we have this here and finally this. So basically this is what I see in his body, right? That, just that. I can see the shoulder that is here coming down and look where it lands. It lands here. That's the elbow. I'm doing with straight lines. I don't even care anything else that those angles right now. Okay, this is going up again, another angle. We do this exercise and it's called the gravity guide. Okay, and the gravity guide help us exactly that, to understand how this is balanced on the floor, right? Okay, now we have the other shoulder here and it goes out in this angle. And look, the hand here is going to be touching that other arm. I will show a little volume in a minute. Okay, so this arm is going up. And as you can see from here, we're coming out with the neck and we're going to have the head. Okay, are we still, we can see there? Yeah. Okay, that's the head. So look at this. We have that, remember, once again, I'm going to repeat this during the whole time. This is on my head. It's not on the paper. It's on my head. This angle is 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 on my head. Okay, right down here, I got the leg going down, one angle. Okay, I can see when that knee get with the chin. So if the chin is here, I'm going to try to hit right there, the angle of that leg. Okay, then I'm going back. The other leg's going out again. I'm trying to find something that helps me get that in position. Then going down. And here's the foot. Look, I'm still looking. Can you see the foot there? Okay, I'm still looking at the orientation of the foot. It's horizontal. So I will place it like that. I will not change that angle because if I change that angle, I will kill the pose. And here we have the other foot. Look, it started where the heel ends. So this go down and up. Okay, so that's what I have on my head. Then I have to start thinking about direction of the volumes. I'm still thinking, I'm not drawing. I haven't drawn anything yet. This is on my head. Okay, I'm thinking about this volume coming out. Okay, so I'm thinking like that. I'm drawing cylinders. So in force, we don't do cylinders. We don't do boxes. We don't do that. You just saw Mike drawing, and you can find all of this straight with your line. So we can come from the back here like that, find the shoulder, go out to the arm, and we are thinking already in that. You see this drawing is more fluid than this one because this is not what I'm drawing. This is in my head. Okay. Same thing with the forearm. It's going that way, right? It's going that way. The hand is going this way. Okay. This other arm is coming this way. See what I'm doing? Okay. All of this is in my head. Once again, in your head, you need to understand like the direction of the volumes. I can add a little area there. Here's the forearm in that direction in front of this one. Okay, here's like the leg coming this way. Again, I can keep going with this and we already can see that I have that pose. Here's this pose. Well, so what's the trick here? The trick is once you understand this and you see it in your head, you can start going as Mike showed you, like you coming from the back, because I see this, it's a C, right? We all know that already. If you don't know what I'm talking about here as the C, you can go to the previous streams we did when we talk about the C, the S, the CS, all that. So once I have this one, I need to get the natural center. So I have the natural center, we have this is showing me this side, and this side is bigger because it's turning that way, okay? This is starting to be a mess, but in my head, it's a mess too. And in the paper, it could be a mess too, because you're just studying what is happening here. So here, once again, we can go to the shoulder like that and start feeling this going there. Take a look. I'm start looking at this negative space. Okay, this is going there. The hand, even that thumb, look at that thumb, is creating that motion. Okay, so here we're going to have the pelvis, right? And this leg, I need to understand that this leg is going, is a volume that is going here. Okay, so I will go front to the knee here. That's the knee. Okay, and then I will go front here again. I keep going, and I can keep going into the foot also here until I reach this place here. On the other leg, it's kind of the same, but the lower leg, I think, is back. Okay, so we're going to go front. I'm coming like this here, around the other knee. Okay, and in this case, I think I'm going to go backwards like that. Okay, and we can go from the front, but to here, because I want to go there to the heel, right? Top of the foot, bottom of the foot here. And now the other side, we follow this line. We're coming from here. Remember here, shoulder, bottom of the arm. Take a look at this. We're hitting exactly there. Elbow, forearm, and here's the hand. Now let's go to the neck and connect that head that is floating right now. So we come in here. See, I'm trying to find that rhythm from the back to the neck. That is the rhythm I want to create. In this case, Mike talked about the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Okay, in this case, the muscle is doing something like this. Let me draw it here on the side. It's coming down and around. So that's what it's doing. Here's the chin. Okay. I'm going to start thinking like 3D. It's going there. Here's the other side of that muscle. And the whole neck is coming from the pit of the neck right there. Okay. And back is the trapezius. Okay. Here. So I'm using overlap here. 1, 2. There's 2 different planes. 1 and 2 planes. Okay. All of this. Look at this. I just draw this without using all that. Okay. Here's the head. Okay, so here's the neck. Okay, here's the back. I'm just drawing it because I'm already thinking about that. Okay, so now I'm coming with the neck. I'm feeling the head. Getting there. Bottom of the chin. Look, the bottom of the chin here is almost next to the shoulder. So I need to keep this measuring in my head to give this hold all the motion. Now, how about time? Oh, I have 1 minute. Let's try to do this in just 1 minute. Okay, the 1 minute left. I'm gonna try to do it here. Okay, so we understood that is a C. So we're gonna find this and get this arm to the head, going into the back, going into here, the head. This the other shoulder, down, up to the hand. Here's the other leg going this way. I'm going to run out of paper, but it doesn't matter. This is going back. Here's the other leg Okay, it's less than a minute. Let's go front. And that's the pose, guys. That is the pose. Just 1 minute. I can start closing now. I can start thinking about volumes. I can start getting more detail oriented now. Okay, I can start thinking about volumes, what's in front, how to close shapes, how to start creating like forceful shapes. Here, start wrapping things around. Here's the deltoid muscle. Okay, tricep. I want to get here into that elbow, going up into the hand. There. You see, it's first think what you want to draw, and after you start drawing. Don't draw without thinking. Don't draw without understanding. Okay? And you can keep going with details. Oh, this is what we were talking before, like for the neck, right? That here. Here, scapula. Here when we can start adding some anatomy detail. And look that I'm going around because I want to show this roundness here. Going in here. This is shorter there. Okay, I'm looking at this negative space. There are many things that are happening in our head while we're drawing. So be aware of all that and don't think we're kind of doing just magic around the drawing. We're thinking a lot of things. If you need to draw first this angle just to be sure what you're doing, go ahead. It's everything that helps you draw. It's a good thing. There we go. So I don't know if I'm okay, that my time is up. Okay, so going back to my face just for a second. Here, that should be my face there. Yeah, here I am. Okay. Well, I hope this was slow enough for you to be drawing something like this. And at the end, I don't know if we want to say it right now or we say it later, Mike, about what is going to do with this drawing, what people are going to do with the drawing they are drawing.
Oh, you can tell them. You could say.
Okay, so all of you that are right now drawing with us, we would love to see what you do, and we're going to be critiquing your work on the next Friday. So remember to look at the Dropbox link that is in the description below and upload there. It's a Dropbox now, not right, Mike?
Yeah, it's the same Dropbox as before. So next week will be our critique session as we've done in the past, and this gives you guys a great opportunity to follow along with us, and then we can actually check the drawings against the photographs that we use this week, right? So really, I think it's just a good tie-in between the two sessions, you know. Right. All right. So thank you, Diego. Who's up? I think Mrityunjay is up next, right?
Yeah. All right. So I think that was like a Leonardo dissection on the horse drawing from Diego. So that was very informative. So all right, guys, let me share my screen. Start broadcast. All right. So hope you can see my screen then, right? All right, guys. So the first thing is what I want to tell you is, you must have think that, yeah, it's a like long tutorial and I will learn like how to draw, like exactly how the other force instructors are doing it. But, let me tell you, this thing is that what we teach at drawingcoach.com and what made us different from anybody else out there is, I'm not advertising, but, the thing is that we are actually teaching, how to think like while you're drawing. Okay. And that's like our main goal. If you can change your ideas while you're drawing, then your drawings will be changed, right? So yeah, if you're like having bad ideas, of course your drawing will be really, really bad. Like it's not going to be going anywhere, right? So our primary goal is to give you something that can change your ideas, right? That can help you see more clearly, like through your eyes, again, what you're seeing and believing what you're seeing. Okay, so that's going to ultimately make your drawings better, without going into any things like anatomy and all this stuff. People like, yeah, I need to learn anatomy at the beginning, and more I'm good at anatomy, I'll be like a great drawer or something. But yeah, just believe me that if your ideas get turned really good, how good is our ideas, and that's where they might came up with the thought that your drawing is only as good as your ideas, right? So all right, let's jump in. So the reference I'm going to be using is yeah, let's say this one, right? Oh, sorry, Diego, I was just following along. All right. So again, as I said, we all going to be teaching you how to think like when you're drawing. Okay, so that's why like all the dissection and things you're seeing here is happening, right? I'm going to do the same, and maybe I'll just build on top of that, what Mike and Diego says like about dissection and the angles. I'm maybe like going into form a little bit. All right, so let's jump in. So what's going in my mind right now? Let's see. So the thing is, if you look at something like this, what would be the quickest reaction that you give it to it? Okay, and that's how I am thinking, right? To any of the pose, that's how I react to like any of the poses out there. Okay, so this is like, yeah, that what is the main thing, that's giving that model at pose, how much efforts he's taking up, right? That is my quickest reaction to it. Okay, so I know it's like a following tutorial. I'll be like really have like to keep it slow, but there's something like something called experience. Okay, if I'll be like really slow to something and something like this dynamic, okay, so I'll be like lose that experience a little bit. Okay, so right now I can follow along, but when you see something out there like this pose, okay, in real life, you should be like quick with that thing. You should be like, yeah, like let me get this thing out, let me get this throw like thrust from the back, to the neck. You can see that this is, by the way, I'm just like throwing my ideas out of the mind, okay, to show you that like how I'm thinking right now, and then I'm gonna be doing the drawing. Okay, so you can follow along. So just look at this. If you want to go with this, and that's fine. So again, let's see. I see this, and I'll be like, yeah, just let get trust in my mind, saying is like, yeah, it's going here, like into the neck, right here. Again, it's like hitting the whole neck, hitting the whole head, right? It's going from the neck and then to the head, like it's hitting this head all over here. Okay, so yeah, let me get this thing out. And this is like what makes that experience rich. You can see like all the richness in the drawing and all the contrast. Like you bring every technical aspects of it and every emotional aspects of it, and you'll see in a drawing, and you think that, yeah, where it's coming from, is it's like intentionally? Of course it's coming intentionally. Nothing happens on the paper without a reason, right? And the reason for this richness is I'm thinking about it. Okay, I'm aware of it. All right. So get this trust going on, okay, into the head right there, right? I'm you can still see I'm not worrying about like all the technical stuff, like all the anatomy and stuff. Now I can just pile it up, like I can literally just pile it up long, right? Okay. So all the things, like this. And again, I'm not worrying about details at this point. I'm just like thinking about all the like where the thrust is going on. Okay. So it has to like come from somewhere, it has to go from somewhere. Basically, I'm just like reacting to every part of the model, okay, and overall reactions of it. So now where's this force is going? It should go somewhere. It should go somewhere. Otherwise, right now the model isn't complete, right? So it's something like this. So yeah, this is like how it's like going into my mind. And just like I just like drew a quick force there just to like balance it off. Okay, it's like, again, you can see it's like a triangular like hanging. Okay, so it's like this triangular base, and where this actually model is standing. Okay, it's balanced due to this triangle. If I just like remove one of this, you can see that like it's gonna fall that way, into the space. So yeah, something like this. This is what is going through my mind. Okay, now let's get to the real drawing, right? And by the way, This is just to show you, but this is like how I really like start the drawing. Okay. All right. So yeah, let's get back to it. So as your guys are following on, hope you're following on. You know, you just want to start with this thrusting again. You know, again, that's my main idea. Just keep referencing back to that original thumbnail. Okay. And again, this is really cool tip to give you right now, that don't just start drawing on a big piece of paper. I mean, you can do it, and then we recommend you doing it. But the thing is, if you just want to see like the main ideas, go draw small in the first of all. So for example, this is your whole paper, and you just like do that drawing which I did earlier, like this, right? Just to get that sense. Yeah, this is like a triangular base, and this thrusting up here, and that's like going into the head there. So this is like a little thumbnail that's going to help you in your way to get your big ideas. Okay. All right. Let me erase that. Right. So thrusting with the thrusting from the back, like it's going. Okay, that's my spine. Okay, and it's still in terms of force. It's not like the anatomical spine that I'm talking about. It's still in terms of force. Okay, so you can see me getting repeating that stroke again and again to kind of get the thrusting. Okay, and you can see this part, right? That neck, that how it's like going. That thrusting has to have some way to get it there. Okay, so it's like so it's like that, you know, that turn, that drift, and then it's like going into the neck there. Okay. So let me get that, and you can still see it's like I'm being really really sloppy right now, right? And yeah, I just have to like take it a little bit forward than what Diego and Mike told you, like dissect it for you. So I'm gonna be a little bit fast here, right? But again, as I said, like the force is going this way, but it's also going this way, so it has to go somewhere. So where it's going? It's going to the thighs, right? Like this, and it's going, right? So you can still see that I'm connecting right now, okay? So something like this. I'm gonna make it a little shorter, right? And one of the things now it kind of, when it comes like to technicality a little bit, right? You can see that's a large difference in the scale that is happening, right? So now, like after all this thrusting, you know, bouncing around, like going on the highway, driving a car, now I'm thinking, I started to thinking all about a little bit of technicalities that is really important for this pose to shine, right? So yeah, this is still my forces that I'm going on. You can see with this leg that is going in the space that what's happening with the scale. And yeah, this is like my hand here. Okay. All right. So what happens after this? When do I get this? You know, now I start to actually really push out those main parts. Okay, that is like bringing in the force, right? So let me see what it's happening. So again, my main idea is stick to the very basic, my first thought, you know, that's coming my mind, the thrusting from back to the head. Okay, so I'm gonna focus on those parts. I can be a little more specific around these parts now, right? To progress that drawing. Okay, and guys, let me know if I'm like off the time. Okay, so not like too much anatomical details, right? Just like simple head. Now, again, as I said, reaction, that reaction is what makes your drawings different from anybody else, okay? So how did you like react to a certain part? So for example, if this pose is happening in a real life class, everybody like around it looking at the same pose, but from a different angle, right? And there could be like different reactions to it, right? So the reaction is what makes your drawing different from anybody else. Even somebody is looking the same at the same angle, but your reaction is going to make it different. So I see this. I'm actually like detailing this part, not detailing, but making it a little more clear, because that's what I said. It's thrusting from the back and it's going from the neck here, and it's coming like from the head, like it's hitting here. So it's like a lot of force on the head. Again, he's like scrunching up his neck like this, so it's like some creases there. That is why I just want to make that part more aggressive, I would say. I just like like very general with his hair and kind of that thing. I'm not gonna like detail like too much. I know like now with the anatomy a little bit, not the anatomy, but just how much effort he's giving onto that arm and how much his scapula is working. I could say a little bit anatomy there. Yeah, something like this. Just like I'm using like you can say like the level of line, right? So this is like kind of a like force line, right? Of course it's a force line, not kind of. So force line, then I can be like something like this. Specific with the apex, that's like the second level of the force line, you can say. And when I'm like something like this, it's like the third line of the force line, third level of the force line, where I'll be a little bit like bumpy, but it's still the force line because I have like the confidence to drop, right? So yes, so I'm just like using the third stage of the line. Okay. I want to get this like a little bit of crunchiness in there because it's like making the forces like this, like it's also going within the stomach, right? To squash, make it squash. In the process, I'm aware of these things that it's like, yeah, filling up box, and something like this. So again, but the main idea, you can still see like the main idea, like how it's like connecting there. I'm still like building off of that thing. It's like a cake it's like an icing with cake, right? So without the base, icing is just like empty calories, and that's what you did when you directly just without nothing, without understanding, you just go and do this and you mess with your proportions, right? So you're just like basically making up the icing, right? Uh, without a good base. Something like this, I think, this leg should be a little more here. Mm. Any questions on the chat yet?
No, you're all good.
All right. So how much time do I have? I
You're
think I'm
pretty
over.
much over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So really quickly, you know, so that's it, guys. Just a little bit more. Yeah, something like this. So now you can see like how you should like build upon that, and what you can do just like to show that you're like really thinking about it. I mean, it's already like clearly visible that you're like thinking so much about your drawing, like it's switching over and all of this. But yeah, just to give some just give audience some sense, you can just like, yeah, this is the area I'm feeling. This is the area I'm feeling. You can do with the orange. That's like the force colors. You don't need to do with the official force colors, but just to like show, right? So yeah, this is it. This is how you should be starting a drawing. This is like the starting of the drawing. Okay. All right. So hope you enjoy the journey inside my mind, and we are hyped to see your drawing. So be sure to upload it for the next release section, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrityunjay. Awesome.
Welcome.
All right. Last but very not least, we have. There we go. We have Swenley coming up.
Yes. All right, so you guys can see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to do a demonstration using force shape after the other guys showed you force and form primarily. So yeah, let's dive into it. So one or three important points to keep in mind when drawing with force shape is, first of all, that when you look at a figure, the figure, of course, is exists in a 3D space and is three-dimensional. So it's important to keep in mind that the shapes that we see are created by the figure's forms. And as you've probably heard the saying, form follows function. And function, as we have learned, is force. For force deals with function. So if we take into consideration this order, it clarifies why it's force first, like, right, function, then form follows force, function, and the form and so the function and the form create a shape. So one thing that students like struggle with when dealing with shape is not the shape itself. Like usually they do pretty well with a straight to curve design, but what's missing the majority of the time is basing those shapes on function and on form, you know. So the drawing starts falling apart and feels flat, and it becomes just a bunch of flat shapes glued together. So it's very, very important to base the shapes on force and form. And following that, it's called force shape, which means that force always comes first. And in drawing with force shapes, what we're basically going to do is abstract the figure to its simple straight to curve shapes. Okay, so ready your drawing pads. Let me get rid of the text. Move this a little. Okay, so like Mike said at the beginning, you know, the first thing I do, and at this point it's like intuitive. I look at the pose to get an impression of what's going on. You know, I need a big impression, a big idea of what's going on. I don't just jump in and start drawing. I need to know, I need to have a goal, right? I need to know where I'm going to with the drawing. So we start with the torso because it's like the big mass of the body and the limbs and the head and neck attached to it. So here we have a C torso. We have a clear stretch at the front and a squash at the back. You can see the wrinkling of the figure's skin. So the first thing that I would draw is that stretch at the front. So notice my intention is to work with force shape, but I need to find the forces first. This is the top of that torso. We have a straight here for the back. So we have the curve of the front, straight here at the back. Go around. Add another straight there. Here I add a bit of form, so I wrap my marks around the torso. So as I'm drawing this, I'm thinking wrapping lines. I'm just drawing a section of it. So here we pretty much have the torso mass, so we can drive force around the bottom of the pelvis here, and we can come over into the iliac crest. And you notice that I'm stopping right here. And what I'm thinking about is the turning edge. Like I can see on the reference, the front plane of the figure. Right, this is the turning edge, defining the front plane. So normally I don't necessarily draw this, like what I'm thinking about it, So when I drew this mark, I was thinking, here's the turning edge, I'm going to stop here. And then I'm going to flow into that leg. And notice that there is a distance between the iliac crest and where the thigh attaches. Like a common mistake is for students to draw the thigh coming right out of that iliac crest, and that's not how the anatomy works. So pay attention to that. Okay, so now I have the torso. Now I'm going to prioritize the legs because they are supporting the weight of the upper body in this case. So first I want to find that force curve of the thigh, right? Force is driving on the top of the thigh. And around the knee. Now that I have the force, the curve, I can draw the straight. And the straight is a great tool to help us see the angles. So into the knee, and let's see, I think I'm going to the back. And then I draw the straight. Again, it helps me see that angle. And then I flow from the back of the calf into the top of the foot. I usually use a wrapping line at the ankle just to give me a bit of form. I look for the heel, and I'm just going to draw a lesser curve, just to create a simple 4 shape. This must overlap, show what's in front and what's behind. We can emphasize the curve created by the gluteus muscle just to give us a connection from the back, from the rear end into the thigh. And then I visualize where is the other iliac crest, the farther one. I think about this distance again from the iliac crest to where the thigh emerges. And I'm looking at the shape from, let me see, let me put a layer on top of this. So I'm looking at this distance right here to help me with the placement of the other thigh in my drawing. And maybe I'm going to just increase that shape a little bit, just for clarity's sake. One thing I always tell our students is that in the end, you want your drawing to be clearer than the photograph, right? We're not copying, so you don't have to copy the unclarities of the photo. Sometimes if you need to change something slightly just for clarity's sake, by all means do that. So let's see, that's the other foot. You can see a little bit of the toes sticking out there. So this is a good basis already, like this feels pretty balanced at this point. And one thing, like I use the wrapping line around the ankle, but actually when I'm drawing this shape here of the lower leg, for example, I am thinking about the volume, you know, I'm thinking this, I'm just not drawing it. Like we talked about in a previous session, like when you see an advanced or a professional artist working, you often don't see everything that's going on inside their heads, right? You're seeing the end result most of the time, and then, you know, aspiring artists go and try to achieve that end result immediately, and you know, the problem is that they're not thinking like the professional artist was thinking when they created the drawing, so the results become different. Okay, let's see. So we have the torso. Let me get the center line. And as you notice, I'm working pretty loose here. I'm not preoccupied with making any kind of clean drawing, because clean drawings for me are for the cleanup stage. You know, if a drawing was clean at the very beginning, why would you need a cleanup stage, right? Let's see, I want to get a bit of the rib cage in here. And the folding of the skin that you're seeing here is created by the rib cage, like pressing on the midsection. So you see this fold of the skin like this, right? Then we have another mini fold here. And this is wrapping around. Turn this in a little bit. Okay, so then we have the rib cage like sticking out here. And we have the abdomen.
Only just for you to be aware, you
Mhm.
need to speed up.
Why did you have to ruin my Zen moment, Diego?
That's what I talk like this because I didn't
Ah.
want to.
Okay.
He's whispering in your ear.
The force whisperer.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay, so let's get to the limbs. The arm is just one simple force, stretching. Use wrapping line at the wrist. We get another straight here. Again, get her thumb in here. So what I'm doing is, first of all, I find the force curve, and then I know at the other side is a straight, right? So that's the pattern that keeps repeating itself throughout the whole drawing. Same here, I find the force of the shoulder, the arm, then I can draw straight. And this is then overlapping, of course, into the pectoralis muscle. Then you have the breast. Okay, let me see. So I look for the pit of the neck. And in this case, the head and neck are pretty much like a continuation of the torso's action. So I look for the sternocleidoid mastoid muscle that Mike talked about earlier, and that Diego also showed. It creates kind of this triangle at the bottom of the chin. Right, so I know this is the force, and like Mike also showed us, like force is coming from the back, the upper back, from the spine, and hitting this muscle and also the face. And the head itself is a force shape. Now you have this curve at the front, and then you can complete the shape here. And then you can start filling that shape with structure. All right, I think my time's up, right?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Well, hopefully you guys learned a lot today again. So when we're working with shape, we're simplifying the figure to its overall and simple straight to curve shapes. And remember that those shapes are created by force and form, so that you still have connectivity and volume. All right, guys, let me stop the screen. Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Let's go to gallery. All right, so I just want to say thank you to all of you joining us today. Next week will be a critique session week, so check out the Dropbox link. Most of the time I put that in my story. I think the other guys do as well, or it's also in every description within all of these posts. So that'll lead you to Dropbox. If you're able to follow along with us, please put those drawings in there. We'd love to see those, and we'll take a look at those drawings relative to the photographs that we used today. Also, in a couple of weeks, you may have noticed the next interviewee has gone up, which is John Navarez, John and I go back quite a ways. John's an incredible concept artist, storyboard artist, and character designer, and he's worked at all of the major studios. So that'll be coming out, I think it's next weekend, might be next weekend, yeah, next Saturday. So I'll remind you guys again in our next live Force session next week after the critique, and then we'll see you next Saturday for that. That's it. Hope you guys had a good time. Thank you, Diego, Mrityunjay, and Swenley for sharing with us what's going on in the background behind the green curtain. And we will all see all of you next Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you guys.
See you guys.